Hello world, state-sponsored hacker group Imperial Kitten is rumbled catfishing employees of defense contractors before infecting them with malware. A new report details a 4-year-long cyber espionage operation executed at the behest of suspected Chinese government-backed hackers. And in an amusing tale, a ransomware group is being held to ransom. That's in today's episode of The Week Web, where we break down and dissect cybersecurity-related tech news. A hacker group with the most amazing name ever, Imperial Kitten, has been found masquerading as an aerobics instructor. In the audacious campaign, hiding behind the alias Marcela Flores, the culprits attempted to sweet-talk and catfish employees of Western defense contractors in an effort to gain their trust before hijacking their PCs and spying on the activities of their companies. The fabricated profile Marcela, or Marcy, spent 8 months talking with the victim, trying to build trust, exchanging emails, photos, and videos. Imperial Kitten also goes by the names Tortoiseshell and TA456, but I like Imperial Kitten, so I'm sticking with that. Security company Proofpoint describes them as an Iranian state-aligned actor. According to malware analysis from Facebook, a portion of their malware was developed by Mahak Rayan Afraz, an IT company in Tehran with ties to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The catfishing reached its climax in June this year when Imperial Kitten decided to capitalize on the relationship they'd built. Marcy sent our victim an innocuous-looking diet survey. Presumably this was the plan all along. Masquerade as an aerobics instructor, and once trust had been established, offered to fix the victim's diet? The survey, an Excel spreadsheet, took advantage of the all-too commonly exploited feature of Microsoft Office, that is macros. Macros enable custom code to run within a Word or Excel doc. A victim does have to enable them manually, but since really no one other than cybersec people are educated on this particular vector of attack, it seems to be quite effective. Proofpoint doesn't say if the victim fell for the trick. It's possible the moment he saw a prompt to enable macros, the entire plot dawned on him, and he realized his sweetheart Marcella was just some dude in a basement in the Middle East. Sad. Anyway, Proofpoint analysed the malicious doc. They found it was laden with malware, which they've dubbed Lempo. Lempo is a reconnaissance tool written in Visual Basic. It collects various pieces of data about the target PC and then exfiltrates these before waiting for further commands. The individual targeted in this campaign was a supply chain manager of a subsidiary of an unnamed large defense contractor. Proofpoint explains that subsidiary organizations are being targeted in possibly an effort to target the primary contractor via less secure downstream component suppliers that share a network environment. In other words, they're trying to go for the easiest victim, which still holds the keys to those more lucrative targets, i.e. large defense contractors. This case just goes to show how the actual technical hacking part of cyber espionage is really only one component of a successful cyber attack. Imperial Kitten went to great lengths, dedicating resources to catfish some poor guy for 8 months before they even got to the point of a potential intrusion. Facebook recently announced they had taken down a spate of malicious Facebook accounts run by a group of hackers in Iran, putting an end to the group's ongoing operations to distribute malware and conduct cyber espionage operations. This takedown included the Marcela profile. A cyber espionage campaign lasting 4 whole years has been rumbled by cybersecurity company Cybereason. 5 global telecommunications companies were at the center of the plot, which was seemingly carried out by Chinese state-sponsored hackers. The miscreants sat in the victims' networks for years, siphoning off data about the telecommunication company's customers, allowing them access to the sensitive communications of anyone using the affected telecom services. Cybereason has published a very long and very detailed report on this scheme, though the target companies and countries in which they operate remain unnamed. All we know about the victims is that they are telecoms companies based in Southeast Asian countries with long-term publicly known disputes with China. The vector of intrusion was the famous Microsoft Exchange vulnerabilities. Revealed publicly earlier this year, 250,000 servers globally running Microsoft Exchange software fell victim to the exploits, which handed over admin-level privileges to criminals. These telecoms companies were among the casualties. Our hackers here used some interesting tactics to avoid detection. In one case, an intruder was observed hiding their tools in a victim's recycle bin folder in a bid to avoid automatic detection by certain security tools. Use this as a reminder to pause the video and go empty your recycle bin. One of the other tricks used included hiding a software keylogger in a legitimate multimedia player called PotPlayer. The version of PotPlayer used had a known DLL hijacking vulnerability, meaning miscreants could load a software keylogger through the program, utilizing it to disguise the malware. In addition, freely available tools such as Mimikatz were used to harvest credentials from the target PCs. According to Cybereason, the bad actors' raison d'etre was to gain and maintain continuous access to the telecommunications providers, aiming their sights at CDR data, or call data records, collected by these telecoms companies. These CDR records are packets of metadata attached to every phone call or text message, which will have been exfiltrated by the intruders in order to facilitate cyber espionage against specific individuals. We can only speculate as to the final targets here, but corporations, political activists, and foreign government officials would be a good guess. The campaign seems to have been well planned and executed, as Cybereason detected 3 clusters of intrusions which showed significant connections to known threat actors, all suspected to be operating on behalf of Chinese state interests. These include SoftCell, Nikon, and Group 3390. It's possible these are 3 different teams operating on behalf of a single threat actor, as in some cases all 3 clusters of activity were observed in the same target environment, around the same time frame, and even on the same endpoints. The CEO of Cybereason said in this instance the hackers had achieved the holy grail of espionage, as they had effectively gained total control over the telecoms companies they invaded. This conspiracy reminds me of Operation Socialist, which I covered in a previous video, whereby the UK's GCHQ managed to breach the Belgian telecoms company Belgacom between 2010 and 2013. It goes to show that it isn't just China and Russia doing all the black hat stuff, though if Western countries are doing the whole espionage thing as frequently as other countries seem to, then one thing's for sure, they're much better at hiding it. A rather amusing situation has emerged in the world of ransomware gang warfare. The ransomware group Babuk have set up a dark web forum catering to the topic of discussing and selling ransomware. In the past few months, pretty much all of the larger cybercrime forums have banned any and all talk of ransomware simply because the subject has gotten a little too hot to handle. What with ransomware causing so many issues over the past year, being a ransomware discussion hub for criminals is a risky business. It's a good way to attract attention from the feds. However, this leaves a gap in the market, one which Babuk wanted to exploit. What they didn't account for, however, was what seems to be a rival ransomware gang taking issue with their new forum and deciding to spam the entire forum with this. I'm going to refrain from reading that out loud, rather not get this video age restricted. Babuk made a bit of a name for themselves earlier this year when they ransomed the Washington DC Police Department. The law enforcement agency refused to pay the $4 million ransom Babuk demanded, and so the group leaked 250 gigabytes of super sensitive data they had stolen, which included the police's gang database and personal data on police personnel and informants. Just weeks later, they posted on their dark websites that they had decided to open source their malware and move on in life, only to change their minds literally 2 hours later and instead claim they were going to focus on data theft and extortion, ditching the ransomware aspect of their operations. Fast forward to present day, and the forum spammer is demanding a $5,000 ransom to leave the site alone. However, Babuk, steadfast, have refused to pay up. The Bitcoin address belonging to the attacker remains empty. If you enjoy this kind of video, make sure to help me out by tickling the like button for YouTube AI, as well as turning on those sub notifications. If you're looking for something to watch next, go check out my previous video on the leaked Iranian plan to blow up petrol stations and sink cargo ships. If you get a lot of value from this series of videos, do consider becoming a channel member. As always, sources will be linked in the video description. Stay tuned for more hacking videos, and have a good one.